Something that I thought was pretty interesting was that Tiresias, at the beginning on page 14, where they're talking about going and worshiping the god, him and Cadmus, Tiresias is talking to Cadmus and says, "Otherwise, the god may take a terrible revenge." And then he also says, "I hope he brings no grief upon your family." And I thought that was interesting since in the end, this basically ends up happening, and Dionysus takes a terrible revenge against Cadmus's family. And then something I thought that was clever was when Dionysus rose the flames over his mother's tombs to make it look like the king's house had caught fire so that he could escape. And then some values I think that were throughout the play were that the men were superior and that the women were not supposed to hunt and it was more of a man's job. So this made Pentheus angry when he heard that the women were killing animals with their bare hands. And then the second value was honoring the gods. This was something that they really valued. And Cadmus and Tiresias were trying to convince Pentheus to go join them in honoring the god by putting ivy on their head and dancing on the mountaintop. Um, and then something that I didn't completely understand was on page 55 when Dionysus was talking about Cadmus's fate and that he would be turned into a serpent and that his wife would be turned into a snake. And I was kind of confused there because I thought serpent and snakes were the same thing. So I looked it up and it said serpents are sometimes they're just poisonous snakes, so I guess that's the difference. Um, and then I thought the Maenads were depicted as insane and crazy because they were literally tearing animals apart with their bare hands and just ripping them to shreds and with no weapons. And then Pentheus even said, "This is worse than anything, that the source of so much trouble to us is women." So basically, I feel like the role of women, it wasn't supposed to be out hunting. That was more of a man's job. And this made Pentheus really angry. And then I believe why Elvis was on the cover, I think it's because he's kind of like a modern day example of Dionysus because he had like a way with ladies, and when he would sing, the women would literally go crazy and like be crying in the crowd, and they just absolutely loved him. Like there was just something about him and they just loved it. And then my two questions were, I was wondering, why does Cadmus and his wife get exiled? I didn't really understand that much. And then the last one was, what do you think the message of the play is? Thank you.